Welcome to Chemistry 170, General College Chemistry 1. Welcome to what will be the most enjoyable and perhaps the most challenging semester of your entire life. Those of you who make it through this class, I will feel proud to call my students. You will long talk of what you learned here today. Those of your classmates who chose not to take this class themselves with you will feel themselves diminished for having not taken it. General College Chemistry is the gateway not only to a great career, but a great source of joy and knowledge for the rest of your entire life. This is a course that focuses on the major topics in chemistry. You're going to learn basic stoichiometry, basic atomic structure, the mathematical relationships between different forms and types of matter. Oh, I forgot the good parts here. By the way, my name is Dr. Kelly. I'm located in beautiful Elizabethtown, Kentucky. That means that all your times for your assignments, by the way, will be on the Eastern Standard Time. Elizabethtown's in just a second. Sorry, I need a cough button here. Elizabethtown is located in the Eastern Standard Time Zone, so all your assignment due times will be based on Eastern Time. Sorry, those of you in Western Kentucky. I love Western Kentucky, by the way. Native Murrian, right? But all your assignment times are on the Eastern Time Zone. So those of you in Western Kentucky, make sure that you realize that everything's on Eastern Time, not Central Time. I'm located in beautiful Elizabethtown, Kentucky. The best way to contact me, and we'll go into that in more detail in a different section of the lecture, is via the question and help message board. I check that message board daily, Monday through Friday. I also answer emails. However, I've discovered that about 5% of emails that get sent to me wind up in junk, or somebody types my email address incorrectly, and therefore the email never gets to me. So whenever you send me an email, make sure that you do post a message on the question help message board saying that you've sent me in. I've got a whole segment of this welcome lecture on the question help message board, so avoid getting into that. We are at Elizabethtown Community and Technical College. That means we'll be following Elizabethtown's academic calendar, which should be within 5 days of all the other community colleges' academic calendar. The only time you ever have a problem is spring break, and fall break is much more different throughout the system. So make sure you're aware of that. You'll be expected to meet the assignment deadlines based on Elizabethtown's breaks, not your local colleges. The big thing I want to get right away with is this is a course that uses mathematical problem solving. The prerequisite for this course is either a math ACT score of 21 or equivalent score, or a grade of college algebra of C or better. I'll be honest with you, I've never had anybody who had a C in college algebra pass the course. So if you do have a C in college algebra, I would recommend you either retake algebra and retake 170, or you try, at the very minimum, you try a face-to-face section of 170. This class is math intensive. Right from the get-go, we are going to be launching into powers of 10, ratios. Before the end of the semester, we'll be working with logs. Starting next semester, we'll be working with logs, natural logs, the quadratic equation. This is a math-intensive class. Even if you meet these math prerequisites, if math is something that bothers you, as in when I say this class is math intensive, if you're not saying, yay, I love math, that means the class is going to be easy, you might want to consider taking this class face to face. It is math intensive. Now, I've got some wonderful tools you'll see here during the welcome lecture that I can use to help you with the math aspects of this course, but where was I going with this? But it's not the same as me being able to look at your paper and tell you, looking at your paper, what you're doing wrong. And it's not the same as me being able to look over your shoulder as you're putting something into your calculator and tell you what you're doing wrong, as I could in a face-to-face class. So if you're not somebody who is, I would describe it, confident in math, and if you're not secure in your mathematical abilities, consider this class face-to-face. The number one thing, just to beat this horse into the ground, you'll discover in this class is that a lot of problems you'll have with this class won't actually be with the chemistry. They'll be with the math behind the chemistry. So this really is, I describe this class as algebra in sheep's clothing. Imagine a class made up of nothing but algebra word problems. And that's a good way to describe what you're getting into here with Chemistry 170. All right, now we have some stuff that the bureaucrats want but don't matter to you. Next, textbook. There is no physical textbook for this class. This course operates on a direct fee model. If you looked at your tuition bill, you'll notice you were assessed a $70 fee when you enrolled in the class. That $70 fee covered your access to an electronic textbook. That electronic textbook is not only your textbook, but it also is where you're going to be doing your homework. If you're wanting to acquire a hard copy of the textbook somewhere because you have more money than you know what to do with, here's the title of the textbook, but you have an electronic version you've paid for. You access that electronic version by going to your course shell. Here's your course shell. You see a link here that says Mastering Chemistry. Can everybody see where I'm moving my mouse around? Mastering Chemistry. When you click that, if you're using a college computer, it usually takes a lot longer to click through than it does using a home computer. One thing I'll warn you about right now, at some point during the semester, that click through is going to fail for you. If that is the case, clear the cookies from your browser, close the browser, and try it again. I have yet to have a student not be able to follow the click through where that clearing the cookies didn't solve the problem. So if you have something go wrong with Mastering Chemistry, clear your cookies and restart your browser. All right, so here's what Mastering Chemistry looks like after you've hit that Go To button in Blackboard. And my view is just a little bit different from yours. Let's see, I don't get to do a student view on it. But one thing you'll notice is over here, and I've got it highlighted in the syllabus from where I captured it from the students. Oh, here it is, scores. You can see your grade at any time during the course by clicking that score button. So if you're ever curious what your grade is, click there to see it. But we came here to look at the textbook real quickly. You have an e-text. Anytime you want to use the e-text, you click that e-text. It sends you to another link, and then it opens a PDF version of your textbook. And this PDF version of your textbook is really great. It's huge, so it does take a while to download. You also need to have your Adobe Reader up to date in order to use this. All right, so it gives you a textbook. I actually label all my lectures by section of the book. So if I tell you I'm lecturing over 2.1 to 2.7 today, I'm lecturing over from here to here if you want to do the reading. And if you haven't had a good high school chemistry, or even if you have, it's always a good idea to do that reading. At the very worst, you're just spending some time reinforcing what I go over in lecture. So there's your textbook, and you can leap directly around the textbook. One other thing that'll become really important to you, particularly next semester, is your homework requires you to use tables, figures from tables. All those tables are here in the appendix. For example, thermodynamic constants, equilibrium constants, standard potentials, properties of water. More important when you get to 180, but a lot of your homework problems will require that. So you may want to go ahead and print off these pages. One bad thing about this ebook is it'll let you print, but only one page at a time. So that's just something to keep in mind there. All right, so that's your e-textbook. Another thing, as long as we're in Mastering Chemistry, you have a study area here where you can watch videos, animations, take practice quizzes. I don't know anything you do or don't do in there. I also want to say there used to be a tutoring service available in your study area. Tutoring services. So there is a tutoring service there in case you want to do a quick chat with a live tutor. Students who have used it have generally found that it's just easier to come to me. Most of the time these tutors are undergraduates somewhere, and so a lot of times this tutoring thing is available. If you're working on the weekend and it's going to be a delay until I answer your question, check in with the tutors. Otherwise, I'm the better option. I will answer questions very rapidly and using mini flash movies, which is superior to the technology they'll be using. Also, real quickly, in this Mastering Chemistry, you'll see assignments. Every single thing you do in this course is done really here in this Mastering Chemistry. All your quizzes, all your homework, all your chapter tests, all your exams, they're all located here in Mastering Chemistry. So this is really the most important location of the course here. All right, let's go back to the syllabus here. In addition to the e-text, you have to have a scientific calculator. Please don't try using your cell phone. Every semester, I see students who just beat their heads against the wall trying to use their calculators as a cell phone. The keyboards are cramped. You don't really know what you're doing with it because the functions and buttons are limited and they change when you turn them this way or that way. Use a scientific calculator, not a graphing calculator, a scientific calculator. Scientific calculator costs you less than $20. This is the calculator that I request the bookstore stock for you. There's nothing special about this calculator other than when I had students drop lab and a lot of them would leave their calculators behind in disgust or they just would never show up again. The calculator I discovered being left was this calculator. Also, they're cheap and ubiquitous. The bookstore sells them and everybody should buy from the bookstore. However, my local Kroger's has these in stock. Walmart always has them. Target always has them. Most of the time, especially when back to school is hitting in the fall, you can find them for under $10. Non-back to school, they're usually around 12, but they're cheap and ubiquitous. But get a scientific calculator of some nature. Doesn't have to be. I will say this, because I recommend this calculator and a lot of people have it, all my calculator instructions in an attempt to help you will be based on this calculator. All right, don't waste your money buying a $100 graphing calculator. You don't need it. That's overkill. That's taking a tank to a water gun fight. You also need a periodic table. You'll see ones selling for $7. Guess what? Here's one for free, right? Just go to your nearest printer and print it out. Matter of fact, I might even print out 2 or 3 copies. Whenever you're listening to the lectures or doing your homework, you should have a periodic table in front of you. This is more important than a textbook, quite frankly. Help. The only reliable way to contact me is through that question and help message board. I check it once a day, Monday through Friday, which means that at most you're looking at about a 24-hour turnaround between the time you post a question and the time I answer it. All right, I'm going to pause the lecture here, but before I pause the lecture here, write down Cleveland Browns. Why am I telling you to write down Cleveland Browns? That'll be explained in the next part of the lecture. Write down Cleveland Browns. And that's it.